Okay, let's unpack this. We live in a world where active shooter incidents, sadly, are a grim reality.
They really are.
They are chaos, personified incredibly fast, totally unpredictable, and they demand a response that's not just rapid, but well structured and effective if you want to minimize harm. Every second counts.
And that speed, that chaos, that's the fundamental challenge, isn't it? Under that kind of extreme pressure, just relying on instinct or, making it up as you go along, it's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, you need something solid.
You need a clear framework to fall back on.
Absolutely. And one framework that's widely adopted and highlighted in our source material here is isolate, distract, neutralize, IDN for short. It's presented as a methodology designed precisely for these high-stress, chaotic scenarios. It offers a clear approach, not just for law enforcement or security pros,
Right.
but principles that can actually apply to civilians too, in some ways.
It's really about imposing a kind of strategic sequence onto a situation that feels inherently completely out of control.
Okay. So our mission for this deep dive then is to really get into the nuts and bolts of how IDN works. What does it look like in practice?
Yeah.
And why is understanding this framework so crucial? Not just for first responders, but maybe for organizations, even individuals, when we think about emergency preparedness.
Well, what's particularly insightful about IDN, I think, is how it takes this seemingly insurmountable event
Right.
and breaks it down into 3 distinct actionable stages. That's where the efficiency comes from, even when adrenaline is just pumping, and rational thought is, frankly, difficult.
Right, because your brain needs something concrete to grab onto to follow. So the framework lays out those 3 key phases, gives responders a sequence.
Precisely. The first is isolate. The immediate priority is containing the threat.
Okay.
The second is distract. You disrupt the attacker's focus, try to gain a tactical edge. And finally, neutralize. You take decisive action to stop the threat.
Simple terms for incredibly complex actions, I imagine.
Yeah.
Let's dig into each one. First, isolate. Containing the threat. What does that functionally mean in these situations?
Isolate is. It's the crucial first step. It means establishing barriers and doing it as quickly as humanly possible.
Barriers, okay.
Physical,
They can be physical, like, locking doors, barricading entrances, or they can be tactical, like using positioning to maybe channel the threat away from populated areas.
okay.
The core goal is just limit the shooter's movement, prevent them from reaching more potential victims.
So it's not just about finding cover for yourself. It's actively trying to restrict where the threat can physically go. How is that actually done in the thick of it? It sounds incredibly hard to coordinate quickly.
Oh, it is, extremely.
Right.
For responders, it involves securing key entry and exit points, swiftly guiding civilians towards designated safe zones or rooms that can be effectively locked down.
Right. But just as critical is maintaining clear, constant communication among the responding team. You have to know the shooter's reported location, their direction of travel. That's vital for setting up effective containment.
And it's moving, right? It's not static.
Absolutely not. It's a dynamic, evolving perimeter.
That communication piece, wow, that feels incredibly challenging in a chaotic environment. And training for this containment phase. Our sources mention simulation drills. Why are drills so important for this step specifically?
Simulation drills are absolutely essential. Containment requires rapid, coordinated action under intense pressure.
Right.
You can't just read about securing a door in a manual. You have to practice doing it under simulated stress, communicating with the team, making split-second calls about where to direct people.
Builds muscle memory.
Exactly. It builds that muscle memory and those crucial communication pathways needed for containment strategies to actually work when milliseconds count.
Okay, so you've done everything possible to isolate the threat. The next stage is distract. This feels like trying to gain an advantage, maybe in a direct confrontation.
Yeah.
What does distraction mean tactically here?
Yeah, distract is about disrupting the attacker's cognitive process,
Yeah.
breaking their focus, their OD loop, even for just a fleeting moment.
Okay.
That disruption creates a window, a tactical opportunity for responders to advance, maybe reposition, or take action with a reduced risk.
So it's not just like making random noise. It's very timed tactic. What kind of tools or techniques are actually used?
It can range quite a bit. The sources mention using tools like flashbangs, maybe activating building-wide alarms if they exist, or employing strobe lights, things that overload sensory input.
Okay.
But it also includes the strategic use of loud verbal commands, maybe from multiple directions, which can confuse and split an attacker's attention.
That split attention. making them look the wrong way at the critical second.
Precisely. The effectiveness comes from the timing and the coordination. You're exploiting a moment of hesitation or disorientation.
And for training this, hands-on is key, I assume.
Exactly. You have to practice with the distraction tools, understand their effects, coordinate when they're deployed alongside team movements. That hands-on component improves the timing and effectiveness dramatically. You learn to recognize and exploit that tactical window.
Okay, which leads us to the final, and I guess most decisive stage, neutralize. Stopping the threat from causing any more harm.
Yes. Neutralize is taking that action to end the violent behavior.
Yeah.
This is where force is applied as necessary, but importantly, following strict legal and tactical guidelines.
That phrase, legal and tactical guidelines. What are some of the complexities or considerations packed into that? Sounds like it's not just about stopping the shooter, full stop.
Oh, it's absolutely not just about the shooter. Tactical guidelines, for example, they focus heavily on minimizing risk to bystanders, ensuring clear fields of fire, distinguishing the threat from potential victims who might be fleeing in panic.
Right, avoiding tragic mistakes.
Absolutely. And the legal guidelines dictate when and how force can be used, often emphasizing things like proportionality and necessity. A critical procedural point highlighted is securing the scene and confirming the threat is fully neutralized before the priority shifts to providing medical aid.
That seems counterintuitive maybe, but vital.
It is. Rushing medical aid before the area is actually safe puts more lives at risk. The victims, the responders, the medical personnel.
That's sequential thinking, safety first, then medical is vital. And for neutralizing, training in high-stress environments is paramount.
Yes. Precision and decision-making under extreme stress. Training scenarios that replicate the noise, the confusion, the sheer pressure of an actual incident, they're crucial for building the ability to make accurate assessments and execute actions effectively when everything is on the line. It's about performance under duress.
So we've broken down the IDN steps: isolate, distract, neutralize. But this framework, as you said, it isn't just for SWAT teams. Why is understanding these principles so important for organizations like workplaces, schools, public venues?
Well, if we look at the broader impact, incorporating IDN principles into an organization's emergency planning can fundamentally change the outcome of a crisis.
How so?
Instead of everyone reacting with, uncoordinated panic, you introduce a structure that facilitates action, containment, and ultimately mitigating harm. It shifts the potential from pure chaos towards a managed response, however difficult that management might be in the moment.
Okay, so moving from chaos to control, essentially. How can organizations actually do this? It sounds like it could be a massive undertaking, a big investment.
It does require commitment, no doubt, but it's an essential investment in safety. Our material points to a few key areas. First, comprehensive training tailoring courses to the staff, the specific environment.
Right, not one size fits all.
Definitely not. Second, enhancing the physical infrastructure. Things like maybe reinforced doors, clear signage for designated safe zones, robust internal communication systems, ones that work even if the power's out or cell signals are jammed.
That communication piece again, crucial.
Always. And third, crucially, collaborating with experts. Professionals who specialize in active shooter preparedness, they can identify vulnerabilities specific to that location and help design realistic plans and training exercises.
That makes sense. So preparation moves from being like a binder on a shelf to an actual capability. Knowing how to apply these principles is what makes the difference.
Exactly. And this raises a really important point for individuals too. Because these incidents, they unfold so incredibly quickly. There's very little time for complex decision-making in those first critical moments.
Right, you're suddenly just in it, likely on your own, at least initially.
Yeah.
What can someone realistically do, maybe drawing from these IDN principles?
Well, even without formal tactical training like law enforcement, individuals can significantly enhance their preparedness. It starts with cultivating constant awareness.
Situational awareness.
Yes, making it a habit to mentally note exits, potential safe zones, places to secure yourself, in every building you enter: your office, a restaurant, a movie theater, wherever.
Just making it automatic.
Exactly. Second, understanding foundational principles like run, hide, fight. These are basic personal survival strategies. They actually align pretty well with the initial goals of IDN.
How so?
Well, run and hide align generally with the isolate phase, getting away or securing yourself, containing yourself safely. And fight, obviously, aligns with neutralize as an absolute last resort for survival.
So IDN provides that more detailed tactical framework for responders, But run, hide, fight gives individuals those core actions to default to.
You could think of run, hide, fight as the individual's first line of defense, potentially integrated within the isolate or even neutralize phase, depending on the awful circumstances. But the material also highlights the value of even basic professional training for individuals.
Why is that important?
Because practical exercises, even simple ones, help you move beyond just knowing these concepts intellectually. They help you actually internalize the behaviors, decision-making process needed under extreme duress. It builds confidence and really helps counteract that paralyzing panic reflex.
Okay, let's try and make this really concrete with an example. Our source material walked through a shopping mall scenario. How would IDN play out there, maybe from the perspective of responders and potentially even civilians involved?
Okay, yeah, the shopping mall scenario, imagine it kicks off. The isolate phase begins almost instantly. Security personnel, maybe even alert bystanders calling 911 reporting the location.
Getting that initial intel out.
Exactly. The mall's security systems would hopefully use cameras to track movement, maybe an intercom system to issue directives, guide people to lock down locations like stockrooms or specific stores identified as safer.
Okay.
Responders arriving would focus on establishing that perimeter, blocking off mall entrances, trying to channel people away from the danger zone, containing the threat to, say, one wing of the mall if possible.
So that containment buys time, limits the potential damage, then distract. How does that work in a mall?
Right.
As responding officers close in, the distract tactics come into play. This could be loud, authoritative commands. Police, drop the weapon. Maybe from multiple officers entering the area. Perhaps using the flashing lights on their weapons or handhelds to disorient.
Trying to break their focus.
Exactly. The goal is to make the shooter hesitate, look away, become momentarily confused. That creates that precious window.
And that window allows for the final step, neutralization.
Precisely. Coordinated teams, maybe using that moment of distraction, move in to neutralize the threat. Take decisive action to stop the killing.
And then
Only once the shooter is incapacitated and the scene is confirmed secure, and that confirmation part is absolutely key, only then can medical teams safely enter to provide that urgent aid to the injured.
seeing those three steps, isolate, distract, neutralize, flow like that, even in a simplified scenario, it really emphasizes the structure IDN provides. And it powerfully illustrates that effective outcomes in these horrific situations. They aren't accidental. They're not luck. They are the direct result of preparation, of training, and of having a clear framework like IDN to guide action when every second feels like an eternity.
So the bottom line really is that preparedness for something like this isn't just about having a plan written down somewhere. It's a practical skill set.
It absolutely is.
And like any skill set, it demands practice to be effective when it matters most.
Exactly. Whether you're in a position of leadership, responsible for the safety of others, in a school, a business, a community center, or you're simply focused on your own personal safety and that of your loved ones. Understanding and potentially training in frameworks like IDN gives you concrete tools. It builds essential confidence for responding in a crisis.
This knowledge feels incredibly relevant, almost necessary today.
It is. And if we take that idea seriously, that safety is really a shared responsibility, knowing about IDN, understanding these principles of containment, disruption, decisive action, it goes beyond just personal survival tactics. It really prompts a deeper question, maybe for you, the listener. How can you take this understanding, this knowledge, and contribute to building that preparedness, that collective skill set in your own spheres? Your household, your workplace, your community. What's your next step in fostering readiness?